Hello, vinyl community, and welcome back to Mike's Vinyl Experience. Thank you so much for being with me here today. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Today, I have selected 5 albums from the recent Record Store Day 2024 of my acquisitions from that day. I've picked 5 that I'd like to review with you. I will talk about packaging. I will talk to you about the musicality of the albums, and of course we'll talk about the sound quality of each of these 5 albums. Let's go ahead and get started. The first album I would like to share with you is Jim Croce Live, The Final Tour. This was a live recording, obviously, in 1973, and I have really been enjoying this album. Let me just show you the vinyl. It's a translucent blue colored vinyl. I hope you can see that without much glare on it. But it's really a very nice looking album. And you know, the interesting thing about this album is it really sounds quite good. Surprisingly good, I guess, is probably the better word for it. It has several of his popular songs. Operator, obviously. It also has You Don't Mess Around with Jim. It Doesn't Have to Be That Way. These Dreams. It's really a neat album, but let me tell you really why I have been enjoying this album. Between songs, he really talks quite a bit and just talks about not necessarily the songs, but life itself. And it really gives you a good insight of Jim Croce's personality. He died so young. And so a lot of us, including myself, really didn't discover Jim Croce till well after he had passed. And so what a neat album. If you're a Jim Croce fan, and I don't know how hard these are going to be to get. I know they're limited to 1,800 copies, and I'm sure there's other versions out there that you can probably get. I'm not sure about that, but it's a really neat album. Just that listening to him talk between the songs is just absolutely neat. It gives you just a perspective of the type of personality that Jim Croce was. Great album. Highly recommended. Been loving this album. Sound quality, believe it or not, the vinyl's not overly quiet. I mean, there's no snaps, crackles, or pops, but the noise floor on the album's pretty, it's not really that quiet. But the quality of the sound is actually really good. It was surprisingly good, considering it was recorded in 1973 and that it was a live set, of course. But great album, highly recommended. Jim Croce Live, The Final Tour. The next album I want to share with you was one that I was very much anticipating coming out, Elton John Caribou. This is the 50th anniversary, as this album originally came out in 1974. This album has a lot of great memories attached to it for me. I think some of Elton John's finest songs are on this album, and really and truthfully, not necessarily the big hits ones. You've got The Bitches Back on this album. Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me is also on this album. Let me kind of get this out of the case and share this with you. It's really not, it's recorded okay. It sounds okay. It's not bad. The 2017 half-speed master that Mercury did was certainly a better sounding, boy, that plastic's hard to get off, a better sounding version of the album. But here's the album cover, very much true to the original. Excellent artwork, I think, on the album. I think they've done a fantastic job. Hope you can see that without a whole lot of glare. Sorry if there is glare. It comes with 2 albums, and I'll show you the album that has, the original album, the main album. It's a translucent, it's not a translucent, but it's a blue vinyl type record, 33 heavyweight album. sound quality's okay. It's not bad. Like I say, it's not really quite as good, at least in my estimation, as the 2017 half-speed Mercury version of the album. It does come with a second album that has some outtakes and some other things on it, which is kind of a cool thing. But really, it's a fun album for Record Store Day, and I was glad I was able to pick it up. As I indicated, sound quality's is pretty good. It doesn't sound bad. Here again, the vinyl's not overly quiet. It's kind of noisy, but not in the way of snaps, crackles, or pops. It's not really bad in that way, but it does sound pretty good for the time. But the half-speed master from 2017 Mercury certainly does sound better. The next album I want to share with you is the Rolling Stones Live at Racket New York City. This is yet another live album that was done. This one was done and recorded in 1923, so it's relatively new. It's on, let me show you the vinyl. It's on white vinyl, which is really kind of a cool thing. Sound quality of the vinyl is okay. I certainly wouldn't say that it's fantastic or great, but it sounds okay. It's not a bad sounding album. I hope you can see that without glare. Not a bad sounding album at all. It's not a gatefold album. You can see the names of the songs here on the back. Shattered, Angry, Whole Wide World, Tumbling Dice, Bite My Head Off, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Sweet Sounds of Heaven. You know, good songs, absolutely good songs. And the music is great on the album. I really do like the music. As indicated, and I don't want to be too critical, the sound quality is okay. It's nothing to shout home about. It's not overly fantastic, but it's not bad considering. And the vinyl, no snaps, crackles, or pops, but it does have a fairly high noise floor. But overall, a pretty dang good album. The fourth album that I would like to share with you today is none other than The Doors, live in concert in Stockholm, Sweden, September 20th, 1968. A 3-album version of this great concert. Let me see if I can open up this trifold and share it with you and just kind of give you an idea of what you get. Really pretty dang cool. Of course, it talks a little bit about the concert and the band right here on this side, and then a picture of the band. And then, of course, on the right side over here, left side, my left side, your right, you have the songs and the information on each side of the album. Let me just quickly show you the vinyl really quick. Now, interesting enough, this album, the lacquers were cut at Bernie Grundman Studios, which is really kind of cool. We have another translucent blue album, really quite nice. How does it sound? I gotta be honest with you, this album just shocked the heck out of me. The sound on this album is strikingly good. Really, really good, as a matter of fact, with one just slight caveat, and I'm really kind of mixed about how I should even say this, but overall sound quality is really quite good. Drums, guitars, instruments sound really, for a concert in 1968, it sounds fantastic. With one small caveat, Jim Morrison's voice, when he is screaming into the microphone, as he does on a lot of the songs, at certain times, it really gets really, really edgy. His voice breaks up. I don't know, poor microphones, just a bad mix on the voice. Not really sure. But for example, on 5 to 1 on side 1, he really screams through this song, and his voice is really broke up and sounds pretty darn rough. Instrumentation sounds phenomenal. But moving on side 1, Love Street and Love Me Two Times, not nearly as broke up. It actually sounds quite good until he gets to the part where he starts to scream. Now, material, musicality wise, this album is fantastic. It has got some of their best hits and some of their best songs, best music. On side 5, Light My Fire is incredible. And then of course on the last side of the album, side 6, The End, really pretty neat. But overall, this is just a great album. And with that one small caveat about Jim Morrison's voice, the album sounds really good. If they just could have, I don't know, maybe did a little bit better job with his voice when he was screaming, and I know that was probably difficult to do, it would have been perfect. But overall, I would grade this pretty dang high. Sound quality is really quite good, with that exception here and there of Jim screaming into the microphone. Great album, great music. Highly recommend this album. Great sounding album. The 5th and last album I want to share with you from Record Store Day 2024 is the Talking Heads Live at WCOZ in Boston. What a great album this is. If you're a Talking Heads fan, you really need to take a look at this if you can still get this. I don't know how many they made of these, if there was a limited number. I'll see if I can find that information. But wow, this is a great album. It's a double album, but it's at 45 RPM. Let me show you the vinyl really quick. Here we go, Talking Heads, double album, as indicated. This is 45 RPM, and I'll tell you what, the sound quality on this album is excellent. It's very good. Surprisingly good for a record store day. You know what? It's not audiophile quality, because the vinyl isn't really audiophile quality. And like on all of these, the noise floor on these albums are quite high. They're not really super quiet, but really, and no snaps, crackles, or pops. I'm not saying that. The albums that I got were actually quite good. Of course, I gave them a quick bath before I played them with the VPI washer. But I tell you what, this album, the Talking Heads Live, is fantastic. Sound quality is really surprisingly dang good, and great music. As indicated, recorded live in 1977. Part of the album was recorded as well in 1983, but great music on this album. Highly recommended. Glad I picked this up. Love the Talking Heads. These are not necessarily classic rock, folks, as even though some may categorize that, but they're really more, I would guess, punk type of music, or at least this is kind of at the start of it, but really good music, well recorded. Love the sound of this group. Great sounding album. Talking Heads Live at WCOZ in Boston in 1977. Highly recommended. That wraps up the review of 5 albums from Record Store Day 2024. There is some other albums that I purchased that in a future video we might take a peek at, but just want to give you a little heads up on what's coming down the road as far as upcoming videos from my channel. We'll be taking a look at Nouvelle Records. Those of you that may not be familiar with Nouvelle Records, it's a jazz label. They have some really good jazz artists, some really good music, and really the sound quality is quite good. We're going to take a look at all of that here in just an upcoming video. We'll also be looking at really soon the new Bruce Springsteen One Step by Mobile Fidelity. And then of course, we'll be taking a look at the latest analog production Atlantic 75 album of Yes 90125. Really excited for that. Thank you so much for being with me here today. I appreciate each and every one of you. Will you please go ahead and leave comments in the comment section below? I greatly appreciate it when you do that. That helps me get ideas and craft material for upcoming videos. As always, if you like what you see, please go ahead and like and subscribe. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. Have a great day.